Hey you guys, what's up and welcome back to Toe Tags Metal Reviews. And today we're getting our album review of the new album from Belphegor titled The Devils. So we've listened to this album for the entire week. Our first time really getting into Belphegor, I think.
Yeah.
I've listened to them here and there. This is the first time diving into an album. And I guess I'll just keep the floor here and just say, like, you know what, I enjoyed this album decently throughout the week. Didn't hate it at all. Had a pretty good time listening to it. But like a lot of albums we review on this channel, I struggle to find a lot of things to really say about songs. You can enjoy a song but not really know what you're taking away from it. And I found that with this album in a lot of ways. So the few notes I do have, there's a couple songs that kind of are just good, but they're just kind of that classic sounding black metal, hard hitting, very, aggressive. And that's track number 2, Totentanz Dance Macabre, and track number 7, Ritus Incendium Diabolus. Both those songs have a very similar vibe for me. Both pretty good tracks, but there's nothing really to take away from them. Some tracks that I did have something to take away from them. Track number 3, which I called in the first impressions, I called it Glorifying the Truffles, because it's like Glorifizierung de Teufel. I suck at pronouncing things that are not in English. I suck at pronouncing English words a lot of times. But this song's got this slow brooding tempo. It changes the pace up a bit. There's this really cool part near the beginning where there's like this pinch harmonic at the end of the riffs. I just really like the atmosphere of this song. It's really cool. Like I said, it changes things up. It was just something that made the album stand out and not feel like a big mess of sound. The next song after that, Damnation Hollandstrues. The song starts off with this sick drum roll. It just bleeds right into the double kick. Love that intro. It's really cool. This is a song that kind of goes back and forth between heavy, aggressive, raw shit and kind of more melodic, softer shit. It goes back and forth. There's a really cool solo in this song as well. Kingdom of Cold Flesh is probably my number 1 song on the album. It just feels really cool. It is another song that's kind of that typical black metal, but the thing that sets this one apart is the outro, because of this chunky ass bass line that plays in the outro. I fucking love it. The solo in this song is also really cool. Kind of comes out of nowhere. It's not that long. It's pretty short and sweet, but it's pretty cool. Other than those few things, some other songs like track number 5, Vitros Asnaria / Prayer. That song drags on. That song was really a drag for me. And Creature of Fire, decent outro track, but skippable.
I mean, it's an outro track, so it kind of does its job,
It does, but like, at what point do you just go, I don't want to hear this, and just skip right over it? And then at that point, track number 7 becomes the outro track to you. That's how I felt. Like, track number 7 was basically the last song on this album. Because track number 8, I was like, it's a song, but it's like kind of a weird, not really a song, I guess.
I don't know. I think the outro does what it needs to do and does it fine.
Yeah.
I honestly, overall, though, share a lot of your opinions about this album. It's good. Straight up, I enjoyed it. Did I enjoy it as much as I did on our first impression of it? Maybe not quite. I felt like I kind of got to a point where I'm like, okay, this is fine. That was really kind of it. Now, the tracks 3 and 4 were probably like my favorite kind of like 1-2 punch. Like, that's probably my favorite moment of the album is just those 2 tracks. Because every time I put the album on, those 2 tracks would come on and I enjoyed them. Mm-hmm. Every single time. Like, that was like the highlight of the album. And I kept noticing it. Outside of that, the album just kind of came and went. And one thing I noticed about it that might contribute to why is that this album is quite short. Because consider that the last track of the actual album when you put it on is Blackest Sabbath 1997. And I mentioned last week this is a bonus track. We do not consider it for a review. Mm-hmm. And this is the longest track in the album, about 6 minutes. Meaning, this album, in reality, is 36 minutes long, and that's very short. So, for black metal, which is a genre that kind of feels long because how much happens and they do longer songs, this album's really short for that kind of genre, and I feel like it's tough to make a short album like that and have it not feel repetitive, just because if you're putting it on loop, you're hearing the whole album a lot more often than if it was a longer album.
Yep.
So I honestly, if they like switched around the track listing and put Blackest Sabbath 1997 in as part of the album, it would probably help a lot. I'm not kidding. because it's actually a good song. But yeah, that pace shift between tracks 3 and 4 I liked. But other than that, there wasn't too much that stood out as exceptional, but I still enjoyed what I was listening to. This is the kind of album you can throw on if you really need a good kind of background music, good metal.
Yeah.
There you go, and it's good for that. It just doesn't really feel like it's pushing much. It doesn't feel like anything super spectacular, but it's still a good album, an enjoyable album. It was an album that I was able to enjoy throughout the week listening to it.
Yeah. One thing I'll say that's a positive thing as well is I think this album, like if there's somebody that's trying to get into that old school black metal sound but doesn't like that raw, raunchy kind of sound,
yeah,
this is the good kind of thing to get into that, because like I said, it has that old school stuff. The tremolo picking's all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
The vocals are right there, hitting it on point. The drumming, everything's there. Instrumentally, it just the production value is up. Right?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a big kind of like gate to kind of cross with old school black metal and old school death metal, is that, you know, the production quality of the older stuff is really rough. So that might be a turnoff for some people. So this is kind of a good bridge between, you know, the classic old school stuff but having a better production value.
Yeah, I do think some of that that old school raw stuff works in a nostalgic sort of way. Mm-hmm. Like if you grew up with an older album, you can listen to it and go, yeah, this still slays.
For sure.
But for a new person's ears listening to it,
it might be difficult.
Ugh. Anyways, let's rate it. I'll rate The Devils first. I think this is a fine album. There's nothing really wrong with it. I couldn't really find that much wrong with it, other than track number 5, which I felt dragged on. But again, that's, you know, maybe I didn't give it a proper chance. I'm not sure. I did listen to this album a lot, but I just felt like that song was just kind of a thorn in the side of this album. But I don't really think it's much more deserving than a 5. It's mid-tier. It's got a few highlights here and there and nothing really dragging it down, so it's a 5-tier album for me.
Well, as for myself, the main thing, like if I really had to describe this album in one word, that would be good. Because it's not bad by any means. It's well made, well performed. There's some cool stuff in there. It's just not really an exceptional album. And I think for me, a best descriptor as for a rating for an album that's just good and not great is a 6. It's really what good to me really is. So it's good.
Fair enough. That's a 6 from TV Fish and a 5 from me. That's it for this review of The Devils by Belphegor. So leave a comment down below and let us know what you guys think of this album after a week of listening to it. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. I'm Vile Self.
I'm TV Fish.
I'll see you guys in the next one. Keep those heads banging.